Welcome back to the Relaxing Ghost channel here on YouTube. Today we have our WrestleMania 37 review and results. I gotta say, this was actually a really good show overall. It's definitely getting a thumbs up from me. Man, this was quite the delight to see, honestly. It's been a long year, very long year, and you don't realize it till it's gone, but the impact the crowd has on a show is just incredible. And man, it was something I've missed for quite a while. So overall, I went 10 for 14 with my picks. Just kind of went with my picks as the show went on, but only really got two wrong per night, which isn't bad. Um, WrestleMania is all about making moments and classic matches. I think that accomplished a lot of things over two nights. It was a good pace to both nights. They rolled on pretty quickly, and there was really no time for breaks or anything like that. I thought the shows, went by pretty good. I'm actually hoping that this is something they could look into and maybe do it for, some of the bigger shows in the year. Maybe Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. Definitely the Royal Rumble could pull it off. The two-night split is, something that's definitely needed for WrestleMania and some of these bigger shows. Maybe not a standard 3 hour pay per view, but when these shows go for, 6, 7, even 8 hours at a time, it does make sense to break them into two nights. And just think about the fans that are in that building for, probably 10 hours at some of them. Splitting it up definitely makes sense. Maybe not Survivor Series, but definitely the Rumble. Maybe not even the Rumble, or you could do a Rumble each night. Do it that way. Men get one night, women get one night. There's all kinds of ways, but definitely Mania and SummerSlam, I think they could pull it off. Um, and plus they could get the 25,000 fans a night kind of things. So, you're doing better than your smaller arena, and you're not moving equipment from night to night. You're keeping everything in the same building, so it looks like maybe WrestleMania will be this from for future shows. But honestly, I think they did a really good job over both nights. The stage and the set looked incredible. The pirate ship, and it was really cool to see, and it was definitely something that was missing last year. That massive stage design, and what we know for WrestleMania is something I always love to kind of ponder about, and what it's going to look like, and how everything's going to finish up. I think it turned out really well, and this might not be one of the greatest of all time, but definitely it's going to be one of my favorites to go back and watch. It's a relief of things are getting better and things are moving forward in the world. So let's get into some of these results as we drop things. Night one, it kind of got rained out and the show got postponed about 45 minutes. So Mr. McMahon welcomes us to WrestleMania, and I'm always happy to see Vince, especially these days. He's 75 years old, so seeing Vince welcome us back is very cool. Show opens up with Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. Very good match, hard hitting, technical match, and Lashley retains with a hurt lock. So surprised by that finish, but I'm happy that Lashley is still the champ at least. Drew McIntyre had his couple of reigns as champion, and I think the chase will be better than the actual win, and maybe they could, keep Lashley as champ a bit longer. Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon. I'm not going to go in any particular order here for night one, but Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon, very good match. Steel cage. This one probably surprised a lot of people and was better than expected. You know, Strowman just looked absolutely dominant and pulled out the win here. Another, very good match. Bad Bunny and Damian Priest versus The Miz and The Miz and John Morrison. Another really good match that probably surprised a lot of people. These celebrity involved matches and things like that, they could really take a downward turn, fairly quickly. And this was not one of those. This was well done, well put together. You got to give Miz and Morrison, all the credit in the world here. And Damian Priest kind of seems like an afterthought in all this. This was probably a big moment for him as well. So let's not cut him any slack here. But these four men pulled it together, and Bad Bunny just looked incredible. I always have a lot of doubt when it comes to celebrity involvement. You look at, when they bring in Shaq or whoever, Snooki and, Maria Menounos. They've had a lot of awful celebrity involvement, but I always think back to the Green Arrow match with Stardust, and that one really set the bar as to what fans expect from celebrity involvement. Um, we had the New Day defending the tag titles against Omos and AJ Styles. Another really good match. I don't think there was much bad to say about either nights, honestly. And maybe I'm viewing this with a pair of goggles on, but from my perspective, this was a pretty flawless show. New Day and Styles here, another really good tag team match. I honestly thought, this could be up there for match of the night. Omos did what he had to do. He was dominant when he was in, and when he was out, it was AJ Styles doing his thing. And Omos put his foot on, I think it was Woods, and covered him for the 3. And Omos, in his first matchup, becomes tag team champion. So, thumbs up for him. And Lance Storm, hopefully he doesn't have school tomorrow. So, yeah, I don't hope Omos isn't in school still. So, pretty sure this will be a fairly dominant tag team with Styles and Omos, and maybe they can start some new faction here with AJ Styles. We haven't seen much from this Omos, so maybe he'll have a couple matches on Raw or whatever. But from limiting him in ring and taking your spots, picking your spots, you can really get this guy over as a big dude. One of the probably brighter spots of this show, Seth Rollins and Cesaro absolutely killed it. And man, say what you want about Seth Rollins, but this guy has been having some absolute bangers of matches when it comes to in ring. It's hard to really beat a Seth Rollins match. Whether he's heel, face, whatever, it's hard to top a Rollins match. And he's been having great matches with Cesaro, obviously here, Nakamura a couple months ago, Rey Mysterio. Seth Rollins, can really do it all. Even Kevin Owens, those matches he had together. Um, I forget if we've had a feud with Styles and Rollins, but I feel like I'd like to see a few matches from those two. But this was probably a lot of people's match of the night if it wasn't for the main event. But Cesaro getting the big win here, he definitely deserved it. He's been in the company probably 10 years now. It's hard to believe it. A lot of these guys have really been around for that long. Probably the only down of this first night was the tag team turmoil with the women. Um, Lana, Naomi, Dana, and Mandy Rose, the Riot Squad, Carmella, Billie Kay, Natalia, and Tamina. I mean, it is what it is with these matches. You're going to have, tit for tat, back and forth. They're going to be fairly quickly done, and whatever, it's one team in, one team out, one in, one out. They're all going to get their stuff in, and it's probably going to be very awkward at times. But, I thought the right women went over here with Natalia and Tamina winning. And, that's all, And the main event for the SmackDown Women's Championship, Bianca Belair, the 2021 Women's Royal Rumble winner, versus the SmackDown Women's Champion, Sasha Banks. This was an incredible match, and it broke all kinds of history and whatnot. There was going to be no way anybody could have followed this. No way for, any match to really top this. And I always say that the Royal Rumble winner and the top championship should main event the show. Sometimes that doesn't happen with the world title going on first or whatever towards the end of the show. But they made the right move here. And this is the first singles, women's match to main event a WrestleMania. And it involved two women who were African American. So very cool. Oh man, this match, from top to bottom, Sasha Banks looked incredible. Belair looked incredible. Two very good women, putting it all on the line. And Bianca Belair, that is just a very, rough thing to say. Bianca Belair, pulls it out, nasty hair whip, and she is the new SmackDown Women's Champ. So happy for her. Her husband came in the ring. Her father and family was there. It was a very cool moment, and this is one of those, weird WrestleManias where, everything really just clicked and went well from match to match, and it really flowed very well. So, I put a poll up both nights. The first night got about 90% thumbs up, and the second night got about, I want to say it was about 70 to 80% thumbs up the last time I checked it, but, I think a lot of people really enjoyed that first night, just that much more. So moving on to night two, I'm going to grab a drink here quick. So night two, we had the Raw Women's Championship match, Rhea Ripley versus Asuka. I gotta say, similar to night one, this one just clicked. It felt, everything went pretty smoothly from match to match. Asuka putting her title on the line. She's been champion pretty much most of the year since WrestleMania or Money in the Bank, whenever she was, gifted the title. Rhea Ripley, one of those rare occasions where you get a live entrance. Didn't come across that well. I thought, the song was just brutality, and those live performances never really come across that good. Just my opinion. But at one point, I thought this was going to end in a count out, which I don't think we've seen in some time at a WrestleMania. Rhea Ripley does win, becoming the new Raw Women's Champion. So I think she got her big win here after last year, putting Charlotte over, and it really seemed like they kind of just squashed her for a while. But I'm happy to see her returning and putting a big spot. I'm pretty sure Fiend and Orton opened the pay per view. I could be wrong, but this is just the way I have them written down. I initially thought Orton was going to win this match. Well, I ended up picking the Fiend. I just thought Fiend, Bray Wyatt, whatever you want to call him, definitely needed a win here. It it's hard to tell who's heel, who's face in this dynamic, because people are so, you know, the Fiend is just so over. Orton is so over. Um, there's a weird dynamic there, and it's hard to really see between the lines. So I did end up going with the Fiend. Orton does win, but it's a kind of a distraction win with Alexa Bliss just had this thing on, and very cool entrance there with the big Jack in the Box, and Alexa Bliss is out there all match. She must have went in the box at some point, pops out of the top, and she's got this kind of crown on, and that black stuff is just pouring out. Did get a holy shit chant going, and RKO for the 1, 2, 3. Randy Orton pulls it out, pulls it off in the end. I really thought the Fiend should have won here. We'll see what happens. Big E defending the IC title against Apollo Crews in I believe, a Nigerian drum fight is what they called it. This was a good match, a good, hard hitting street fight type match with no rules pretty much. And I forget what they called him. I believe his former name was Dabakato. We've seen him a few times on NXT and Raw or something like that. They're calling him something else now. He's a Nigerian bodyguard. Man, they took some nasty shots with those steel steps throughout the match. And Apollo Crews is finally your IC champion. This was a good match. It's street fights in WrestleMania. It's hit and miss with me. It's you either get Shawn Michaels and Mr. McMahon, or you get Triple H and Lesnar. They're hit and miss. They've been over the years. I think it's hard to get the crowd going with so much going on with WrestleMania. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn had a decent match. This involved Logan Paul, and this was a decent match. I didn't think this was the best they could have done. I felt like with Sami Zayn's haluva kick there, they really sucked the air out of the building, and they really should have bought some time to build up to that finish. Owens hits the stunner for the win, but I don't think they got the reaction they wanted. Later on he gives the stunner to Logan Paul, and probably the worst stunner I've ever seen, worse than McMahon or Trump or any of those stunners. This was probably one of the worst matches of WrestleMania. Just being honest here. Matt Riddle defending the U.S. title versus Sheamus. And Sheamus has had quite the career in WrestleMania history, winning the world title in 18 seconds against Daniel Bryan. This was this was a good match. I like these type matches where, kind of the clash in styles really builds the match. And, I like the stuff they were pulling off. They did the reverse tombstone spot at one point. Riddle hit a jackhammer. I thought this match came across very good. And Sheamus with a nasty bro kick. They kind of reminded me of that Adam Cole spot they did a couple of years ago, where Riddle goes for like a moonsault off the rope, but Sheamus just kicks his teeth down his throat, and he is the new United States champion. Very physical match. And then the women's tag titles were on the line. We had Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Tamina and Natalia, who won the tag team turmoil the match prior, or the night prior. Um, Overall, decent match. The champs retain here, and I thought this was decent. It definitely could have been a lot better, but I just think it's so hard to, especially for the women, to pick up the bigger women. Like it's hard to perform spots on Nia Jax and Tamina. It definitely is, but I thought they did very well with what they did. Um, I like the big double splash. Nia Jax landing on both women, and they teased a sharpshooter a couple times. She just couldn't get it in, and I believe, yeah, Natalia ends up tapping out here, and they retain, still women's tag team champions, and they become the longest reigning women's tag team champions of this era. Um, I think it'll be hard to beat the previous reigns. I believe they go over like a couple of years. And the main event for the WWE Universal Championship, Daniel Bryan, Edge, who is the winner of the 2021 Royal Rumble, and Roman Reigns, the Universal Champion. He comes out, he has Jey Uso, Paul Heyman, and this is definitely what I expected. Like a finisher after finisher. They got the table, they got the chairs. At one point, he had this nasty crossface with a piece of the chair must have broke off. I don't know if they improvised with that or if that was planned, but that was a cool spot. And they both come in, they both got the crossface on them, the bell lock combo on Roman Reigns. In the end, Daniel Bryan takes a concerto, and Roman Reigns comes back with a spear. A lot of spears in this match. Edge looked fantastic. Daniel Bryan looked fantastic. Roman Reigns ends up covering both men and retaining the title. And he becomes the first to retain the title since Lesnar did it a few years ago at 34. And overall, I was quite satisfied with WrestleMania this year. I think overall, I'd probably give it a good 7.5 out of 10. It did have its weak spots, of course. Not every show is going to be perfect, but Roman Reigns retaining was a surprise. A lot of good matches throughout both nights. I was really satisfied when it was all done. So let me know your thoughts, guys, and as always, we'll talk to you later. Peace.